I can multiply decimal numbers. We'll take a look at a couple of different situations on how we can multiply decimal numbers here. We'll start with multiplying a decimal number times a whole number. In this case, there's a lot of ways you can look at it. One of the things I might start doing is to just break it down into the whole numbers multiplied together plus the decimal number and the whole number multiplied together. The reason being is I feel as though most of you would be able to solve this one without much work to it. But this is a problem right here, 6 times 7/10, that we sometimes struggle with. What does that product become? One way to help you look at it and think about it is knowing how to do this will help you, but it's understanding the difference between 6 times 7 and 6 times 7/10. One thing that a lot of students notice is 7/10 and 7 are a 10th times difference. So it takes 7 times a 10th to equal 7/10. So to get this product, we would take 42 times a 10th to get 4 2/10. Another thing that might help you look at this is it's 7/10 6 times. I might even just go to 3 times here first to give myself, here I get 21 tenths. So those 20 tenths become 2. And I get 2 1/10. And another one would give me my other 6 because there's 3 here. So this would be times another 3 right here. So those two together, 3 and 3, make your 6. So those together make 4 2/10. So when I start to be able to solve a problem like this, it makes it breaking it up this way a lot easier. Then all I have to do is to add those two together to get 22 2/10. Some students might even repeatedly add the whole decimal number together. Again, there's your 21 tenths, or 2 1/10, plus your 18 here, your 18 from, plus your 9 right here and 2 more, give us 11 1/10, and that's for 3 7/10 times 3. So again, to get 3 more to make it times 6 would still give us 22 2/10. Okay, so when you're looking at solving it with a whole number and a decimal number, that might be a couple of ways for you to try solving it. What about if we have 2 decimal numbers? Now, repeated addition gets a lot harder to do. In fact, not really sure if there's a way we could do that. So now I want to go back to thinking about our patterns of multiples of tens and tenths, because I would like to actually show you that I could start by solving this with just the same digits, multiplying 3 times 42. Because if I can do that, and I can start to show you there's a pattern here, now the only difference between this problem and that problem is something in the tenths, which means my product will have just the same number in the tenths. But I still have another tenth up here, so now I have to do 3 tenths times 4 and another number in the tenths. So now I have 2 numbers in the tenths. So if I were to look at this as 3 times 1/10 times times 42 times another 1/10. What I'm trying to show you is that 42 times a tenth and 3 times a tenth equal 3 tenths and 4 and 2 tenths, and I'm still multiplying those. But since this is a little more difficult, sometimes if we start with these numbers and multiply it like we did over here, now the only thing left to multiply to this number is a tenth times a tenth, which becomes 126 times a hundredth, which is 1 and 26 hundredths. And so hopefully you can see the pattern from this one to this one to this one, and the same pattern from 3 to 3 tenths to 3 tenths and 2 tenths. And know that if you can figure out those patterns, starting with the whole numbers can help you out solving a problem like this real simple. Now, sometimes we can get a problem in the hundredths already times a whole number. Not much would be very different. You could repeatedly add this because you have a whole number. You could also start with both whole numbers and know that you have to take this times 100th to get back to 128, 1 and 28 hundredths. So we could show repeated addition, we could show multiplication with whole numbers, and then adjust to get 100 times less, or what we call 100th times greater. So again here, when we solve 128 times 7, we're going to get 196, and then to take that times 100th would put us at 8 and 96 hundredths. Notice how I had 3 digits in the whole number places, but when I take it times 100th, they both have to move 2 places back. 90 goes to 1 and then a tenth, 6 to a tenth and a hundredth, and the 8 goes back to the ones place. That's something we talked about at the beginning of the year. Now, there are several other ways to solve it, and some of you may know, but if you have a hard time with these could be a couple of ways you could solve some decimal problems. Here are 3 that you could try on your own.